Hello everyone, I Anu Dhariwal welcome you all to the last part of this session. Children, as all of you know that we are discussing History Chapter 1 of your NCERT textbook titled How, When and Where. Now let us discuss the remaining topics today. This will be the last part of this session. So let us move ahead. The first topic in this is what is colonial. When the subjugation of one country by another country leads to change in social, culture, economic and political sphere, it leads to colonization. Now what do we mean by subjugation? Subjugation of one country. Children, subjugation means the action of bringing someone or something under dominance or control. I repeat, subjugation means the action of bringing someone or something under dominance or control. So, when the subjugation of one country by another country takes place, that means when one country is dominated or controlled by another country, this process is known as colonization. Due to colonization, some changes takes place in the country that has been dominated. For example, take the example of the Britishers. They established control over the economy and society, collected revenue to meet all their expenses, bought the goods they wanted at low prices, and they used to sell it at a very high price to us, produced crops they needed for export. Due to all these things, there were many changes that came about as a consequence in our country. British rule brought about changes in values and tastes, customs and practices. So, there were also some changes in the values, the taste of the Indians, customs and practices too. How do we know? That means, how do we know all about these things? This is due to some records that we have of that time. The number one subtopic in this is administration produces records. Now what do we mean by administration? The process or activity of running a business or organization is known as administration. I repeat, the process or activity of running a business or organization is known as administration. So, these activities, these business, this organization produces some records of that time. One important source is the official records of the British administration, the official records that they used to keep. The British felt all important documents and letters needed to be preserved. Specialized institutions like archives and museums were established to preserve important records. Administrative sources only represent half of the picture, as they all were written and maintained by British officials. That means they only used to describe their own part in the official documents. So it was only half of the picture. Several other sources studied together give a better picture of administration. So it's not just that we read the records produced by the Britishers to understand whole of the story. We also need to study several other sources to give us a better picture of administration at that time. One of the sources of writing history, as you can see here in this slide, on the right hand side you can see a picture, National Archives of India, Delhi, 1920s. Now this picture that you are seeing is a record room where all the documents and letters from government and various administrators have been arranged as per dates from 18th century and are preserved in good conditions. So it is a record room where all the documents and letters from government and various administrators They have been arranged as per dates and also preserved here in good condition. Now children, letters and memos that move from one branch of the administration to another in the early years of the 19th century can still be read in these archives. So you can also find all the records of the 18th century arranged as per the dates in these archives. The second point that we study in how do we know topic is conducting surveys. Now conducting surveys was common under colonial administration. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. So the Britishers used to believe if we have to administer or if we have to run a business here or control the country, we will have to know it first. We need to know all about it in detail. By the early 19th, detailed surveys were being carried out to map the entire country. Now they started conducting detailed surveys by the early 19th century to map out to know about the entire country. For example, what were the surveys about? The surveys were about, there were forest surveys, there were zoological surveys, etc. The last topic in this is what official records do not tell. Now what are the things? As I said earlier, there is not everything that the official records tell us, as these were produced and maintained by the Britishers. So there were many things that the official records do not tell us, like these records do not tell whether other people in the country felt, what the other people in the country felt. Like they were only describing their feelings, their thoughts, but what the other people felt, this no document can tell. Only diaries of people, travelers, autobiographies of important personalities can tell about literate people. So where do we find these records? Only in the diaries of some people, travelers, and the autobiographies written by some of the important personalities. No record of the history is available for the tribals, peasants, workers, or the poor. So when you study the earlier records from the 18th century, you will find no record which gives us a detail or anything about the tribal people, the peasants, the workers, or the poor. So these are some of the drawbacks that we find in the records produced by the Britishers. This is it for today's session, children. This was the last topic of this chapter. I hope I would have made myself very clear to you. We'll see you soon in a new session with a new topic. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.